They've now passed 50,000 users, 3.5 million bucks raised with a team of 10 up in New York City, doing between $1 and $10 million in transaction volume per month. And again, they help you create individualized debit cards per merchant account you're checking out with online, be it Amazon, or not merchant account, but per merchant. So it could be Amazon, Nordstrom, or anything else.
This is The Top, where I interview entrepreneurs who are number one or number two in their industry in terms of revenue or customer base. You'll learn how much revenue they're making, what their marketing funnel looks like, and how many customers they have.
I'm now at $20,000 per talk.
5 and 6 million.
He is hell-bent on global domination. We just broke our 100,000 unit sold mark.
And I'm your host, Nathan Latka.
This is episode 743. Coming up tomorrow morning, you'll learn from Jessica Lee. Companies pay her $10,000 to $100,000 to text their customers funny messages. But what's the product exactly? Hello, everybody. My guest today is Bo Zhang. He's the co-founder and CEO of privacy.com, a new way to transact online without sharing your credit card number or PIN. He previously worked on mobile products at Hatch Labs, which was the venture studio that incubated Tinder, and Pixie TV, which was acquired by Samsung. He holds a BS in mathematics from MIT. Bo, are you ready to take us to the top?
Yes, I am.
All right, so you go from dating app to privacy. How the hell does that happen?
Yeah, so it's an interesting story. I've always been kind of interested in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, and that's where the idea for privacy.com kind of came from. Saw a lot of things that we liked about Bitcoin, and a lot of stuff that wasn't really fully there for Bitcoin as a currency for transacting. So it was really kind of a side project there that sprouted into what we have now.
What'd you pay for privacy.com?
We actually didn't pay anything for it. So we were fortunate early on. We reached out to the owner of the domain. He really liked what we were working on and agreed to sort of treat the domain as an investment in the company.
Got it. And can you give me more detail on that? I mean, did you say, okay, we just closed our $1 million round. I'm going to have you putting in $100,000 of the round, but you don't actually have to put in the money. Just give me the domain. Was it like that?
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much.
Give me specific. Here's why: because people are always trying to negotiate for domain names, and a lot of times people make the mistake of actually just paying cash, and it handicaps them. You have kind of a genius insight here, and you figured out a way to kind of do it without spending cash. Can you give us more detail?
Yeah. So I think the way I would pitch it is. The domain is an asset, and it's appreciated in value certainly, but it's not going to 10x in value or 100x or 1,000x in value like a startup equity potentially could. Yep. Right. And so that's really kind of the sell where you have this asset. It's not really I don't really know what domains appreciate at, but it's certainly not going to grow exponentially, and that's kind of the hook there.
Did you give the previous owner more or less than 10% of the company?
Less than 10%.
Got it. Okay, good. Let's talk more about what it does. So what is privacy.com? For those of us that don't understand crypto or privacy laws, take us to that level. What's it do?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a browser extension, a mobile app. Basically allows you to generate a brand new unique card number for every purchase you want to make online with just one click. So our extension automatically detects the checkout field. You go click the button and boom, it fills in the card number, CVV, expiration date. What's cool is you can use any name, any billing address. You can set a limit on that card. So the implications as a user is that you never have to worry again about your info getting leaked in a credit card breach, shady merchants, or subscription billing that you forget about.
So you're literally creating a new virtual credit card for each checkout of a user. Is that accurate?
Yeah, it's a debit card actually.
Okay.
It's linked to your checking account.
Oh, so it is linked. So how do you make sure that communication can never be hacked or stolen?
So there's no way to ensure that anything is like completely unhackable. So we do take best practices and security measures to ensure that that we don't get breached. Yep. Ultimately, what we say is like our focus as an organization is your security and your privacy, That's not always the case at merchants that you shop at online.
So just to bring this down again so everyone can understand, if I'm Nathan Latka, I shop on Amazon.com, Nordstrom, and HelloFresh because I get my food from there. You'll basically, if I'm using you, will generate a unique debit card for each of those different merchants that I work with, and I can create new ones as I purchase from new merchants. Is that accurate?
That's accurate.
Okay.
The other thing is that those cards can't be used anywhere else. So if you have a HelloFresh card, someone gets a hold of that card, they can't use that card anywhere else.
Got it. Okay. How do you make money?
So we make money off interchange. And for those of you who don't know what interchange is, basically every time there's a transaction on a privacy card, the merchant pays a fee to Visa. Visa shares this fee with the bank, and the bank shares it with us.
So let's run through a hypothetical here. I have privacy. I'm using a privacy card on an Amazon checkout for $100. What do you get of that? On average.
So on average, it gets very messy, but without doing too much specifics, it's about 1%.
Okay, got it. So, and that's dependent on the bank fee, the Amazon fee, the Visa fee. Was it an Amex? Like all that stuff.
Yeah, there are tons and tons of sort of folks that are in the transaction process.
So is it kind of a key metric for you? Obviously, driving use is important, but the more volume you're processing, the more leverage you have with all those other people who take fees, where you can try and take more of their fees for yourself. Is that a growth strategy you're focused on revenue wise?
Yeah, so I think it's interesting, right? We have we're venture backed, so we have.
How much have you raised?
$3.5 million.
Okay.
And so the benefit of this is we can focus on, obviously transaction volume is how we grow our revenues right now. But at the end of the day, we want to keep our users happy, right? And one metric that we look at internally is how much have we saved people in unwanted, fraudulent, or unnecessary charges to date? And that's something that we're pretty proud of.
That's so hard to measure though, because I guess you just take an average cohort of people using regular credit cards. You say X% is typically fraud, and then you just assume for that same cohort using you're saving that same amount of money. Is that right?
Well, so we look at declined transactions essentially. So if you use that card at Amazon and then now it gets used somewhere else, sometimes it's user error, but we do a pretty good job of cutting that out. So
yeah, meaning if somebody got your card somehow, your number, and they try and use it in Bolivia on a banana truck stand, right, and it gets declined, you see that as okay, we just saved them from being frauded out of $20.
Exactly.
Got it.
Right.
Very interesting. Okay, so you raised $3.5 million. When did you launch the company?
So company was founded in 2014. We launched officially in a beta about a year ago. So it takes some time to get to market with a financial services company.
And what are you guys at today? And I don't know what the key measurement is for you. Is it number of transactions per month, or number of users, or amount of transaction volume? What's the number you care about most?
Yeah. I think we measure a bunch of metrics. We're at around 50,000 users right now. Okay.
And have every one of those users processed, called at least a $10 purchase using a privacy card, or no?
I don't think every single one has, but I don't have a specific number right now. One thing I always try and do on the show is people tell me user numbers, and like half the time they're all free users. So like it doesn't mean anything because they're not actually getting value. So how many people have gotten value using privacy, and however you choose to measure value? Yeah. I think maybe a better way of measuring that is based on our transaction volume, which has basically been growing, double digit month over month since we've launched about a year ago.
Have you broken $1 million in a month yet?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. 10 million?
Yeah. We haven't broken 10 million yet.
But you will soon, right?
We're planning to this year.
After the show, it's going to take off like you've never seen before, and you're going to go, I owe Nathan a steak dinner.
Absolutely.
All right, very good. So doing between, we'll call it $1 million and $10 million a month in transaction volume, 50,000 users that are using you to some degree, maybe obsessive, maybe some of them haven't used it at all, but I think we understand it here. Tell me more about the makeup here. So what's the team size?
The team is 10 right now.
Okay, 10 folks. And where are you guys based?
We're based in New York City. We have a semi-distributed team. So some folks in Portland, Oregon, some folks in Florida. Yeah.
Got it. Very good. And then is there any other way you make money besides that about 1% on your transaction volume or no?
Not right now. We're thinking about offering some premium features as well, but the idea is to keep the core product, always free.
Yep. And just so people obviously will be doing this because you gave me both these numbers, but if you've broken $1 million in monthly transaction volume and you take 1%, it's fair to say you guys are doing at least 100 or 10K per month in revenue.
Yeah, that's fair.
Very cool. All right, take me back to I dove right into the numbers here because this is an interesting space, but I want to get in your head a little bit more about your backstory. So you launched this in I think you just told me 2014, but you really went public in 2015. So before that, were you actually at Tinder or were you just inside of Hatch Labs and IAC?
So I was inside of Hatch Labs, and it was kind of cool to see Tinder really take off, but I wasn't actually working on the team. So that was kind of my first exposure to something that was growing really quickly, even though I wasn't on the team.
Why did it work?
I think a lot of it just came down to having the right product at the right time and being really persistent. I think that's one thing that people kind of take for granted. But even in the early days, I don't think it was like totally a no-brainer that Tinder was going to be a huge success. There was really a lot of iteration and pushing to get it to take off.
What was it like inside of Hatch Labs?
It was cool. So Hatch Labs is a venture studio, or was a venture studio, and basically they had between 5 to 10 projects running at one time. They were all mobile based, but they kind of spanned everything from messaging to delivery to dating. Obviously, it was a part of IAC, so there was kind of the benefit of being like a smaller organization that was super nimble and fast moving inside a well-funded, well-staffed larger company.
And what percentage of did IAC take of any Hatch Lab company, including the one I assume that you were working on?
I don't think that's a number that I can disclose, unfortunately.
Oh, is it not? It's not like a typical accelerator where they put in 125 grand and take 5% or something like that?
No, it was a more hands-on model, and I think it was something that was negotiated on a company-by-company basis.
Got it.
So, I think they put in, closer to $1 million.
Okay, got it. So they're taking more obviously than that, right?
Yeah.
Did you ever get into a project that matured enough where you had that conversation or no?
No.
Okay.
So I actually left Hatch Labs a little over a year after joining.
Many of you listening right now don't have time to listen to every B2B SaaS CEO that I've interviewed. If you want to get access to the database I've created with year-over-year growth rates, customer counts, margins, and many, many other data metrics and data points, you can go to getlatka.com. Here's the thing, though. That database, I keep it to myself. It's so freaking valuable. And to preserve the quality of the data and make sure that the people that have access to it have a true advantage, I'm only letting 10 companies on each month. So we're full this month, but you can go to getlatka.com to get on the waiting list for next month. And look, there's big people on the waiting list. I mean, the biggest VCs you've ever heard of. You've probably heard of them. They're big, private equity, billions and billions under management. So it's an impressive waiting list. Go get on now at getlatka.com. Guys, big news. Last month was a huge month for the company I recently acquired, which was www.thetopinbox.com. I liked the company so much when I met the person who created it. It lets you send emails later on Gmail, set up reminders like snooze almost to keep your inbox clean, do things like send auto follow-ups and do open tracking so you know when your emails get opened. It's great if you're in sales or a CEO or trying to be more productive. So listen, I bought the whole company on the spot and I want to tell you how I did it. I've showed the deal, by the way, to big, smart people, private equity firms, VCs, and they're dumbfounded. They go, Nathan, how did you do this? We've never seen a deal like this. How did you do this? So I did an unbelievable deal. And I want to show you the income report. So for me to send you the income report, go to www.thetopinbox.com. click the red button that says install this on Gmail. And when you do that, my email will appear. It'll appear in a little Gmail pop-up window. Send me an email and I'll reply immediately with the income report. And you can see how I'm buying and growing small B2B SaaS companies. That's www.thetopinbox.com. Totally free to try and use. www.thetopinbox.com.
Very cool. Bo, let's wrap up here with the famous 5. You ready?
Yeah.
Number 1, what's your favorite business book?
It's a good question. So I think there's 2 really. High Output Management by Andy Grove is kind of a classic that I love, and it's just like really to the point. Gives you a playbook to springboard from. The other one that I also plugged that's not really a traditional business book is Who by Jeff Smart. It's just a really great book on hiring. Kind of gives you a playbook and is like, again, super to the point.
Number 2, is there a CEO you're following or studying currently?
Interesting. I like Charlie Munger a lot. Even though he's not the CEO of Berkshire Hathaway, his writing is consistently super knowledgeable and insightful. I feel like I learn a lot every time I read something by him. Yeah.
I was at their they do the big thing in Omaha where him and Buffett get on stage, and somebody asked Charlie, what do you think about artificial intelligence? And he takes a bite of his brittle peanut sees candy, swigs his Coke, and looks at the audience and goes, well, Bo, we need more artificial intelligence. We don't have enough of the real thing. It's just like he says like the stuff, and you're like, well, of course, that's what we should do. All right, number 3. What's your favorite online tool, like Acuity Scheduling?
So we do a fair amount of video chatting with the team, and I am really a big fan of Zoom. They're really good. They build a really good product.
And why use them over GoToWebinar or Google Hangouts or some of these other ones?
Yeah, I think what I've found is Zoom tends to degrade in a very nice manner. So, basically, if the connection's spotty or if something happens, you're still able to kind of keep going. And that's something I really like about them.
Interesting. Okay, number 4, how many hours of sleep do you get every night?
7 to 8.
That's pretty good then. All right, and what's your situation? Married, single, do you have kids?
Not married, but also not single.
Yeah, got it. And no kiddos yet?
No kids.
All right, and how old are you?
28.
All right, last question, Bo. Take us back 8 years. What do you wish your 20-year-old self knew?
That's a tricky question. It's a lot of it's kind of shaped by my experience. So there's a quote by I think it's I don't know if it's actually by Bill Gates, but it gets attributed to him a lot. But it's most people overestimate what they can do in 1 year, and they underestimate what they can do in like 5 or 10 years. And I found that like as you get older to be very true. And it's really like you've got to be patient and see things through. And that's probably what I would try to hammer into myself, if I could go back 8 years.
There you guys have it. Bo started at IAC, then jumped into privacy.com. Most people overestimate what they can do in 1 year and underestimate what they can do in 5. Be patient. Again, he launched this idea in 2014, really publicly in 2015. They've now passed 50,000 users, $3.5 million raised with a team of 10 up in New York City, doing between $1 and $10 million in transaction volume per month. And again, they help you create individualized debit cards per merchant account you're checking out with online, be it Amazon, or not merchant account, but per merchant. So it could be Amazon, Nordstrom, or anything else. Bo, good luck, and thank you for taking us to the top.
Thank you so much.
If you enjoyed today's episode of Bo, go back and listen to Amanda yesterday. She sells to real estate agents by crowning them mayors and setting up digital online portals for each city across the country. She's grown from $700,000 to $6.4 million in ARR, that's annual recurring revenue, in under 12 months. So the question is, will she exit?